here is where the drama starts. Lap 30, 8 laps to go. Sandopi hoping to take advantage of these lapped cars. Pileski goes, dives onto the right side. Very aggressive here. This is lap 4. The two Viceroys. Bill Frazier ahead of Matt Pileski. Frazier's off. Frazier hit the grass. You hit that tire wall, your day is done. Well, now it's lap 20. The Williams still trying to get around the Terrell team as he'll go around the lap car and around those at the same time. At the same time, he's got the inside corner. Will he ride the curb? Yes, he will. He will get him on the inside. Vito Maria leading us all into Moss's corner. Look at the beauty as his right side will cook the grass. Oh, a 180, no, a 360. Oh. Who will yield going into this corner? It's really not meant for too wide as it will be Gernot. Gernot will yield. Lots of smoke picking up from that Williams car. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. 26 of 30 now. Only 4 laps to go. He's going to get the run coming out the final corner. He's going to pull up side by side with the leader. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who is going to get there first? It's going to be...
Prix has left the field to play catch-up in these early stages of the season. Going from strength to strength, the multi-time champion has momentum on his side. But we come to a track that might highlight the immense grip of the Lotus, all while making it incredibly difficult to pass. If Gernot fails to take the pole, today could be a tense one. We'll find out what Donington Park has in store for us as we get ready to watch round 4 of the Lotus 79 Classic Teams Championship. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is former real-world IndyCar driver Richie Hearn. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Ducky Beard. Richie, we often talk about tracks having history, but it's not often that history stretches beyond the Second World War.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. And here we are at Donington National Park Circuit, located in Derby. It's 1.9 miles long, 10 turns. Yes, this track is very old. It was first used in 1931 and then was closed down after the World War and then repurchased and built back into a proper circuit in 1977. It's gone through some changing of ownership, but it's turned into a world-class facility. It's a great flowing track going through the rolling hills of the UK. But like I said, it is difficult to pass. There are some blind corners where they come up a hill and have to turn, where we might see some bold maneuvers. And we have some areas in turn 1 called Red Gate and right at the end called Roberts that we might see some passing. But probably the best way to check this out for you viewers is to jump on board the GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Juha Norlampi in the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around Donington. Red Gate is going to be an excellent passing opportunity, but the ideal line is swinging it out here to the pit exit and trying to late apex the corner. With the rapid acceleration of these machines, it doesn't take long before you're flying through the crater curves. When it veers to the left, you want to hug the car all the way to the edge of the track to give yourself the widest line possible into the old hairpin. It takes precision to nail this bend, so expect a lot of dirt to get kicked up on the exit. Under Starkey's Bridge, you'll make this climb one long arc and then once again hold left for the optimal line through McLean's. The crest and the decreasing radius make this a frustrating corner to get right. After that, it's a short blasted coppice where the apex is going to be blind until you're right on top of the turn. There's 2 parts to this corner, and the second half opens up significantly, letting you really keep your foot in it. Now we're on Starkey Straight, which will take us to one of the few good passing opportunities with the final chicane. But watch out for the tall red curves to the inside because this car will not like climbing all over them. Make sure and be smooth on the power, and hopefully you've now finished a lap around Donington.
There you see a lap around Donington Park, at least the national layout, which is going to go very, very quickly. Sub 1 minute lap times around here in these cars. If we take a look at the driver's standings, as I mentioned, Gernot Frisch, who came back from a little bit of a bad start in the first round to really run away from people, 56 points ahead of Matt Wood. Wood's keeping him honest, you have to admit. About an equidistant range back to Steve Bycroft in third. Then you've got Tommy Unhola and Pablo Suarez rounding out your top 5. It's still only 3 races into the season. We'll have drop races come into effect soon enough, and that could affect things. What about the Teams Championship, Richie? What's that look like?
Well, right now it's Saudi Arabia Racing Team Williams out in the lead with Gurno Frisch and Glenn Corrigan currently 11 points up on Scuderia Ferrari with Matt Wood and Andrea Stefani. Third place will be Marlboro Team McLaren, not too far behind. Second and with 14 points, or 14 back from the lead. And then Martini Racing Lotus and also a Keep or No Elf. Everybody really tight there, but they do have 2 drops for the year, so this will change as we go.
And speaking of those drops, let's go to the race details. You'll see that right there. 4 for the drivers, 2 for the team, and 44 laps around this track. We've got a relatively large field, so that could lead us to quite a bit of lap traffic. Now, they do have an incident cap around here, and there are cases where you could see drivers fall afoul of that, since it's going to be easy in a couple spots to go wide. They use the official iRacing points in these cars for that CTC Championship. They also have no spare cars, so if you damage these Lotus 79s, you're going to have to come in for a pit stop, which will be unscheduled. They do not stop for tires or fuel in this old machinery. Taking a look at qualifying taking place, and Tommy Unhola actually sitting on the pole right now with a 57.1. Trying to see if we've got Gurno Frisch here today even. And indeed we do. But he has not put a time in, I don't think. In fact, I do not see him on the track currently. So, as we watch Steve Bycroft head around to set his first lap time. Unfortunately, his first time around, he himself had an off, so that one didn't count. So as he crosses the line, a 57.1 puts Steve on the front row. However, half a second off of Tommy Unhola. That's a pretty big gap around here for such a short lap.
Yeah, that is a big gap for a short lap. Tommy Unhola has been doing really good in qualifying. Hasn't been doing the best for the races, but one thing about this track, you're talking about the incident points that I wanted to bring up. You can see there's not a lot, except for right there on the front straightaway. It's pretty much all big grass fields. So even if they do get knocked off the track, you can still kind of keep going, but that will play a hinder on your incident points.
Duncan McClellan. Looks like he was a little lost in the chicane, unfortunately. Pablo Suarez, who's in our top 5 in the points, currently sitting down in 10th. In qualifying. This is his second time lap, his first one at 58.2 as he comes out of Coppice. Now, these curbs, we talked about this chicane being a possible place to pass, but I have to imagine those curbs probably don't play nice with this car. See, he puts his second time in 57.7, so that bumps him up to 5th. A nice run for Pablo Suarez. Still a few cars waiting to get that second lap in. We do have time since the laps go so quickly. Still about 3 minutes left. And Frisch is out on track. This is Alex Millward, one of our fast drivers. Still looking to set his first lap. And as he comes across, the 57.2 is going to put him in P3. So on the second row in his first time of asking for Alex Millward.
Nice job for Alex Millward. And still, though, a healthy gap from that first to second section. Like I said, for a sub-minute lap, that's a big gap. So Tommy definitely put in a monster qualifying time.
Here's our points leader, Gurno Frisch, up and across the line. And this one is a 57.2. That is good enough for third to bump Alex Millward to the outside of the second row, but still not enough to topple Tommy Unhola, who certainly looks like he is going to be someone to watch out for today. But as Richie mentioned, he tends to have a little bit of trouble in the races sometimes, so hopefully he can hold up that qualifying pace in race pace. This is Juha Norlampi, the preacher, still running that orange paint scheme as he comes through the final chicane at Roberts. Let's see what he's got underneath him. Hasn't set a time yet. He will get both laps in unless he messes his second one up. And a 56.9. is going to put him into P2 onto the front row, only the second car to get into the 56s. Renault Frisch, his second lap. He was a 57.2 on the first one, 56.5, and that is enough for pole for the number 1 car. Gernot Frisch finally able to get by Tommy Unhola. We said that it could make for an interesting race if he doesn't get the pole, but he's making sure that that doesn't happen. Juha Norlampi could yet dispose of him as he comes around Coppice. Onto Starkey straight. One more corner to go. This is looking like a good lap based on his time. Nice and tidy through there. 56.5 is the marker. Across the timing line of 56.7. Not enough to take pole, but it is enough to put him on the front row. And that is going to wrap up our qualifying here today. So let's go through our starting order. It is going to be Gernot Frisch on the pole with Juha Norlampi next to him. Those two longtime rivals could have for a fun race up at the front. Tommy Unhola will be P3 with Alex Millward starting 4th. Steve Bycroft, not a bad time for him in P5. Then it's John Stevens on the outside of row 3 starting 6th. Peter Konietzki will be 7th and Pablo Suarez will be 8th. Then Daniel Banker starts in 9th position. The top 10 will be rounded out by Fabian Dan. Richie?
Yeah, starting in row 6 is going to be Kendrick Taylor. Right next to him, Barry West. Row 7 will be Robert Simpkins and Dustin Herder. Row 8 is going to be John Francois Bocus and John Betty Jr. Row 9 will be Robert Plumley. Glenn Corrigan starting in 18th. Row 10 is going to be Aiden Dzarevic and Francisco Javier Gutierrez in row 10.
Keith Herner starts 21st with Brad Clank, admitted newcomer to the series, starting 22nd. Steve Sarles will be 23rd. Sergio Morales, 24th on the grid. Then you've got Todd Herner in P25. Harley Lloyd will be 26th. Last car, only car not to set a time, will be Duncan McClellan, 27th, and he will take part. He's already lined up on the grid. Just waiting on a few more of our cars to get out there as we grid up on the front stretch. Thankfully, we don't have a large enough field to go back all the way into the chicane, which can happen in some cases on these standing starts. Who will be able to get first into Redgate? That could make a big difference out there today with the difficulty in overtaking. We've seen Juha Norlampi at times get very good starts. Let's see what Frisch has for him. So we see the last of them just waiting for Norlampi to get out there. Glenn Corrigan as well. The last two cars to get their setup loaded and out on the grid. Corrigan joins us now. Waiting for second place Norlampi, and he's on the grid. Engines start to rev. Lights are up. Green flag is out here. And it is not the best of starts for Tommy Unhola, but a decent start for our front row. Norlampi looking to the outside of Gernot Frisch, but nothing doing quite there, although he tries to carry the momentum. He's a little bit off in the grass. He manages to collect it together, but that hands it back to Tommy Unhola, who gets into second place.
Yeah, and he really backed the field up when he did that as he got out wide, but everybody kind of kept it together. That's going to put Tommy Unhola in second, Juha Norlampi in third. Gernot Frisch is kind of already stretching it out a tiny bit here, and he doesn't usually make mistakes, so this is bad news for those guys, but man, what a big field going into that turn one.
We'll get back to a replay of that start in a bit. Millward had a big face full of gearbox there trying to stay out of it, and I think we had some problems, cars off track. Glenn Corrigan and Jean-Francois Boscus.
Yeah, we did have a car go off track right in the middle of the field there as they come through this last final chicane. We see those big sausage curves. Definitely not going to hit that. And there you go. Lap one already over with.
It is Gernot Frisch leading the first lap. Unhola following in second. Norlampi in third. We got that replay with the first corner. We're going to watch from Millward's perspective. See what he had to it. Oh. Thought we had the replay up. Let's try this one more time. Here we go. From onboard Millward's view. There you see the car going off. Woo! Woo! Great heads up by the UK&I driver, but unfortunately, it did cost him a position in the process.
Yeah.
Got a replay on what happened with Boskus, too. Oh, big car contact.
Yeah, it gets hit in the back, sends him sideways. You see how wide the track is in the grass. Oh, then he gets clipped again in the grass, and fortunately everybody gets to keep going, but it's going to send him way back to the rear of the field. And here we go, Robert Plumley on board. This is that blind, one of those blind sections that you can't really see what's going on until it's too late. And looks like just ran into the back of him.
Yep, and
moving.
Didn't have much time to react at all. As we jump back live, this is it's like Tommy Unhola in the Tyrrell trying to keep Norlampi behind him. This is really bad news for Norlampi that he fell to third, because it looks like right now he's got better legs than Unhola.
Yeah, I think he's got a faster car, but like we talked about, this track is very difficult to pass. There's really only 2 decent spots, and they're coming up to one of them right now, but he's not close enough to make a move. And then you got to get a good run through the Roberts chicane here, and then try to get a run into turn 1, but even that's tough to do.
When Robert Simpkins just showed how you can get overtaken, if we could get a replay, he dropped many, many spots from an error, just a little wide through McLean's. Here we go with the replay. Just off into the grass, and he keeps it pointed forward, but look at everybody streaming by so early in the race. Even got shoved wide coming through Coppice. As we come back live, he falls all the way to P18.
Well, with that many cars, they're all bunched up, so you just drop a wheel and you're going to lose 4 or 5 positions, as that's what's just happened to him.
So as we come back live, already on lap 4, hopping over to 6th place Pablo Suarez. He's looking to try and do what he can to get by John Stevens just ahead of him, but he's got some threat behind him. That's Daniel Banker and Peter Koneski, all in a little 4-car train.
Yeah, same thing's happening up front for 2nd position. It's a 3-car train, but I'm watching this and they just can't get close enough to make a pass. So a lot of single file racing. You might see some of these guys get a little desperate as we get farther into the race, and probably lap traffic will play a part, but right now it's all just kind of run as they are.
Does the wake affect these cars pretty badly around this circuit? Is it hard to get close?
It does, because those front tires are so tiny that any little downforce you lose really makes that thing understeer. And it's just about timing it correctly, so you can get you don't want to just go right underneath them into the corner. You want to get that run off, but it does make it difficult, just like any open wheel car that relies on the downforce.
Peter here's trying his best to see if he can set up the pass. He's been hounding Daniel Banker and gets very close in certain parts. Here's a good one right here off of Roberts. Can he set him up into Redgate? He's about a car length behind, pokes his nose down to the inside, but he can't outbrake the red machine into the first corner. He'll stay down in 8th for the moment. The more these two battle, though, they've got to worry about Steve Bycroft, who's watching with big eyes, seeing if a side-by-side battle will give him a chance to get involved.
Yeah, he's pretty close to him right now, Peter Kaczynski's kind of trying to set him up, but the next passing opportunity is going to be down that back straightaway. This is one of those blind over-the-hill entries, and it's tough to get that corner right when you're that close to somebody. Oh, he's sticking his nose out. He almost made another move. But here they come onto that back stretch and see if he can make that happen as they go into that final chicane.
He's certainly looking antsy, and this has really allowed Bycroft to catch up. But they are gaining on Pablo Suarez ahead of him. It's now a 5-car train coming down the front stretch to tick off yet another lap. It's John Stevens at the head of those 5 that you see in the McLaren.
Ooh, there he goes. He's going to send it in. And that's hashtag send it right there. Sorry there, Joe. I just happened to see that. And he just sent it into the side pod of Daniel Banker. Unfortunately, they didn't hit each other, but that was a late-minute move.
Ooh, Banker off course there coming through the old hairpin. He was very heads up to give space at the apex. That certainly set them back. They're losing a gap. Here comes Steve Bycroft also doing the same thing in the McLaren's, but once again, not paying off as Peter Konieczny retains 8th place.
Peter got a little wide at the top of that hill. He's going to have to go defensive down the back straightaway to try to keep Steve Bycroft, but he, I don't know, he made a mistake. Maybe he missed a shift or something, but that was a pretty easy pass by Steve.
I wonder if he maybe got a cut course penalty coming over Coppice. Could be that he cut it a little too tight to the apex. Whatever the case, Steve Bycroft now up to 8th position. This is some great action in the mid-pack. We're not missing anything up at the front. This is really our best battle towards the front. Prix is still stretching away at about 2 seconds. Unhola has actually managed to keep Norlampi far enough behind that he's got about a 1 second gap between those two. Here you see our leader working his way on to Starkey Straight. This is looking like another potential easy victory, but we'll see once the lap traffic comes into play. There's our 2nd place driver, Tommy Unhola in the Tyrrell. You can see the space that he's pulled back to 3rd place, Juha Norlampi. If anything, Norlampi might be looking a little rearward because there's Alex Millward continuing to hold the gap of about 0.8 of a second up to the number 2 machine.
Yeah, Tommy was a lot closer than that a few laps ago, so I don't know if he made a mistake or he's just kind of just fading a little bit, but you're right. If he fades too much, he's going to have Alex Millward right behind him trying to take that top 3 position. And right now, everybody's just kind of running steady. I think it'll get interesting when we get to the lap traffic, but that battle between Banker, Bycroft, and Konieczny is still going on strong.
Yeah, I've caught at least one car, Duncan McClelland, who's well down the order. Other than that, they've got a long ways to Brad Clank, so thankfully they're not getting into the thick of it. We've switched back to Bycroft, who finds himself now looking to try and overtake Daniel Banker. Peter Konieczny couldn't do it. Could Bycroft potentially? He takes a little bit of a look down into Roberts. Nothing doing quite yet for that. Sets himself up off of the chicane. They are about dead even down the front stretch, coming towards Redgate, continuing to try to get himself into the mirrors of Daniel Banker, just poking his nose out at almost every corner now.
Yeah, he's right there. He's going to make a move at some point because you want to get that clear air on your car, but I don't know where he's going to try it without making some contact, because it is tough.
Oh, Dizderevic seems to have had some issues. He's stopped facing the wrong direction out of Redgate, and I think this was due to contact. That's Simpkins behind him that you see. Oh, just got a little too close behind him. Didn't expect a little bit of a slowdown from Adnan.
Yeah, he was pretty decent distance from going in the corner. I don't know what happened. If he just slowed down unexpectedly. That's what it looks like. I don't think he was done on purpose, just kind of an accident.
It almost looked like that ATS car just kind of was washing wide a little bit, and he lifted, and unfortunately, Robert was not expecting it. Got into the gearbox. Robert keeps going. You have to wonder if he's got damage, but Adnan, unfortunately, suffered the worst. He is all the way down to 22nd because of that.
We got some. Oh, here we go. Peter Konieczny is going to try to make a move on Steve Bycroft. Not quite able to do it. These guys are dropping wheels all over the place. You also have a good battle for 11th between Barry West and Dustin Harriger. That's starting to heat up a little bit. And Alex Millward is caught up to Norlampi.
Oof, everything's kicking off around here. We're not even halfway into the race. There's 3rd place Norlampi. Millward's cut it down to half a second now. 3/10 gone since we last looked at these two. Number 5, probably hungry to get himself onto the podium. They swing their way through the Craner curves up towards the old hairpin. Both of them really pushing the edges of the track. Norlampi kicking up dust. It's one of those spots you could collect those 1Xs. Going off track, we ride on board with Millward, looking ahead. Coppice now. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, he's just slowly creeping in on him and putting a little bit of heat on Norlampi.
Almost wonder if some of these drivers may be waiting for that lap traffic, knowing better chances will come their way if they stay patient.
Probably some of that, and some of it's just waiting for some of the fuel to burn off, as these cars do handle a little bit better as they get farther into the run. You know, if you can't make the move, just kind of hang there and just wait for the opportunity.
A little bit behind these two. Steve Bycroft still very, very close to Daniel Banker. Unfortunately for these three, though, they've lost touch with Pablo Suarez by a big margin up ahead. You can see how close Bycroft is getting. Fortunately, can't make a move down into the old hairpin. Bycroft actually down from where he started. He was P5 on the grid, and he's currently sitting in 8th, looking to take 8th away from Banker.
Yeah, I think he got jumbled up a little bit on that start in the first turn when Nora Lampe went a little bit wide. But here he comes. He's going to try to make a move down the straightaway going into, looks like they're coming up to the hairpin. Oh, he's kind of backs out of it. That's a tough place to pass because those curbs they're going through, if you hit that, your car is going to get launched off the track. So you got to be a little bit careful. This is probably the best spot to make a move.
And I think we had a pass for 17th. Let's double check to see if that was an overtake. Oh, and Bycroft, just as I look away, did he just touch Peter Konieczny? No, that was Bycroft on Banker. And similar to what we saw with Adnan, except in this case, Banker definitely completely two wheels off course. Big lift.
Yeah, Bycroft just got a really good run off that corner, and Banker did not, so he had to get off the gas, and that's brought Peter Konieczny right back onto the gearbox of Bycroft.
Can't look away from these three. They've been giving us the most action all race long. Steve still staying close. Peter giving watch. I'm sure he'd love it back from Steve. Steve gets a great run off the final chicane, but a defensive move from Daniel Banker. Could we potentially see the over-under from Bycroft? He outbreaks him into the corner. He could go the long way around. Look at that. Nicely done by Steve Bycroft, doing it the hard way.
Yeah, that was really nicely done. But, you know, once you get turned into that corner, it opens up a little bit so you can get that throttle, get back on the gas. And that's probably the easier way to do it instead of just slide jobbing the guy. But very nicely done.
So Banker down to 8th. Bycroft up to 7th. Let's jump back to P3 because Millward staying within that half a second of Nora Lampe. And if I'm not mistaken, is Nora Lampe catching Unhola just slightly?
Looks like. I think he's catching up to them just as they're going through the traffic here.
Yeah, they've caught Brad Clank, who's been put a lap down. And then they're going to be coming up to Adnan and actually putting a second lap on Duncan McClellan. Nora Lampe getting bottled up a little bit coming through McLean's. Clank trying to pull out of the way of 1 and 2, just putting Millward slightly off, and that is not going to help, but he doesn't lose too much. We had a car off somewhere. Trying to figure out who that is. That was on the front stretch. Duncan McClellan having some issues with the final chicane, just outbraking himself. So don't need to go to a replay of that one. He goes another lap down.
Meanwhile, that battle with Bycroft Banker, Bycroft has left those guys in the dust, so he's definitely faster than them, and he's now steadily creeping back up on Pablo Suarez for that 6th position.
So Bycroft, who himself has been trying to play catch up this race, finally freed himself from those two. Actually looks like he's got really good pace on Suarez. That gap went down very fast. Already to within about a second up to the Brabham. You see the battle behind has actually returned to being 3 cars, because not only is it Banker and Konecki, but Fabian Down looks like he is now getting into the mix, has caught up to the back of him.
Yeah, once Steve Bycroft got by Banker, he left him, but Banker still has company with Peter Konecki and now a newcomer with Fabian Down. And so we got another 3-car battle, albeit it's for 8th place now, not 7th.
So as Peter gets closer and closer, certainly wants to get himself away from being overtaken again. Watching from on board Daniel now. Daniel, who himself started this race P9, is running about where he started. Obviously has had to deal with a lot of pressure so far today. Getting very close up into Coppice. Peter trying to get himself the run. He's looking awful close, but how daring is he? They're coming up to the final chicane. He's got the slipstream. He ducks inside, but once again backs out of it. Not willing to risk it over those curbs.
No, this is where you want to get that run and see if he can try to do the same move that Steve did and go around the outside, although Daniel Banker learned his lesson and not give him that lane.
Battle continues, though. Every corner. Oh, and Norlapi's lost third, and he's turned around. This is out of McLean's, and it's a self-made error. The Preacher a little wide.
Yeah, he just came over that hill. It's blind, got on the dirt, some of the tires, and now he's got some damage as he pounded the tires. And he's towing back to the garage. So, yeah, he's had some good races this year, but he's had some minor incidents like that has taken him out and really hurt him in the points.
Sad to see the Preacher has left the pulpit prematurely. So the Finn finds himself in the pits once again. I think we had an overtake for P12. Is this Heroder and Taylor? Oh, and actually, they're going by Banker. Banker just had a big problem. He was off the course in the final chicane, and that lost him many, many positions.
Yeah, he clipped the inside sausage curb, and it spun him around.
Got the replay. There's just the tail end of it. Yeah, you could see not only did Peter go by, Fabian went by, but then even more cars.
You can see how much that curb really pitched him off the track and didn't do any damage, but man, he lost a lot of positions that are going to be hard to make up.
And it looked incredibly light. What if we could jump back to Steve Bycroft? Because he's in 6th, and he's already looking to the inside of Suarez. He is really rocked up to the gearbox of this Brabham. This has been a tear of a run from the number 3 machine. He's got a little bit of damage on the left front wing, but that certainly doesn't seem to be slowing him down. They come through the old hairpin. A little bit off course. It stays within attacking range.
Yeah, he's really closed in on Pablo Suarez, and just within a couple of laps. That last lap time was a good 0.4 of a second faster, which is a lot on a track this short.
Well, this is looking good, though. He's tucked up right behind him, coming down Starkey straight, but he hasn't seemed keen to make the pass here. Richie keeps saying red gate's where you want to make it happen. Let's see what he does off of it. Looking excellent through the chicane, covering off the inside. Suarez drifts back to the racing line as they pass some lap traffic. No opportunity this time by.
No opportunity. I think Steve Bycroft's probably trying to look for that outside lane where he made it work last time, but you can get a good run down this hill and maybe make a move into this next corner that's coming up this left and then this right. I can't remember the name of the corner here. This one right here that they're at. Not
this
quite there,
McLean's.
But yeah, that's it. McLean's, yeah. And it's a nice blind entry. We'll see if Pablo can handle that pressure, but I think Steve's going to get by him at some point.
Yeah, Steve seems to really have sussed this track out. Even if he can't get by immediately, eventually he gets his man. This is where we were watching for it last time, through the final chicane. What's Suarez going to do? He immediately moves off to the left side of the track, but Steve Bycroft is going to try the inside anyways, looks to outbrake him into the corner. He takes the apex away. Can he get the throttle down? Finds the grip. Nicely done by the number 3. Inside, outside, he can get it done.
Yeah, very nicely done. He's probably been the one who's passed the most, at least that we've seen cleanly. So very nicely done, and you can see he was rocketing away. So he's got a fast car, just didn't get quite the start he wanted. Up front, Gurno's gone, but I'd like to point out that Alex is almost caught up to the back of Unhola at the moment. So he's not quite there yet, but he's definitely gaining on him. As last lap was 0.6 faster than Tommy.
We saw Tommy have quite the battle at Imola. Had himself trying to fend off all comers, and, well, maybe Alex Millward can be the one to finally get by him. Should point out that those top 3 have left the rest of the field in the dust. John Stevens, who's had a very quiet race in 4th, is a whole 16 seconds behind. Now, he's got a gap back to Bycroft, who we've watched charge through the field, but there's still plenty of racing left to go with nearly half the race left. I think Steve, if he's got the pace, could see at least one more position in his future.
Yeah, back to P11 here. I was watching Daniel Banker kind of gathering up his race as he's caught back up to Dustin Herder, and he's really trying to get by him as he's trying to make up those positions that he's lost earlier. When he started 9th, he's currently wearing 12th.
Still just right underneath the rear wing of that black and red machine. Oh, a big mistake from Dustin. Looking to the inside into Coppice, but Banker runs out of track. In fact, he really runs out of track. He goes off course. The car's got dirt all over the tires, and Herner knows it. He sticks his nose in, but eventually Banker collects himself, and he keeps himself in P12. A scary moment for the number 17.
Yeah, Daniel had a hell of a run coming out of that corner, and Dustin didn't. And Daniel did everything he could keep from hitting the back of Herder, but that caused him to go off, and now he's lost that space. He's got to worry about Keith Herner at the moment.
Not been the cleanest of races from poor Daniel Banker. He's had to deal with a lot out there today. He's still in the mid-pack, though, so he can't be too ashamed of this run. Lap 26 out of 44 on this circuit. If you're just joining us, Gernot Frisch is your leader, who started from pole. Tommy Unhola, who started from 3rd, had managed to get himself up into 2nd and has been holding that down. Your podium is rounded out by Alex Millward in P5. Excuse me, P3.
Gernot Frisch is just lapping the field here easily. He's up to lapped up to, looks like, 17th spot, and he's got 6-second gap on Tommy Unhola. And this is something that Gernot does frequently. He gets in the lead, and he doesn't make a lot of mistakes, although he'll probably get in here and tell us how hard he worked. But it definitely looks easy to me. I couldn't beat him, so he's doing a terrific job. He's just he's one of those guys that you can't let him get away, because he doesn't, like I say, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes.
Action back in 11th. Roeder still having to hold Banker back. He actually got beside him this time, but just can't seem to get the pass done. Still watching from behind them, Herner, hoping for the opportunity. There's another little peek from Banker down into the final chicane. He hits that first curb very hard, but manages to keep the car running. Down the front stretch. Oh, he's looking strong. Ducks to the inside. Tries to outbrake Herroder into the first corner, but Redgate just not offering that chance.
No, it really is tight on the entry. So, I think when we saw that pass by Steve going around the outside, that was probably actually easier than trying to go on the inside, because if you come in too fast, there's no anti-lock brakes on these cars, and you can easily just lock up the tires and just T-bone the guy in front of you. So not an easy place. It can be done, but it's not an easy place to get it done.
falls off a little bit now as Dustin pulling a slight gap. Keith Herner getting ever closer to Banker. Back onto the Starkey straight one more time. Nobody really looking like they'll have a chance down into the final chicane. They're actually, I believe they might be close to be getting lapped as well. Yeah, Frisch about a straightaway behind them. You can just get a little peek of him on some of these shots way back there. If they keep fighting, he's going to catch ever quicker.
That's something that probably Daniel Banker didn't think was going to happen, starting 9th position. But, you know, all this fighting and stuff has slowed them down.
And just ahead of them, they also will have to deal with lapping cars themselves. Sergio Morales not too far up the road into McLean's. A very strong run from Banker, but not enough of a straight that he could have a pass on Herroder. Nicely done by Morales to just pull out of the way. Oh, bad run by Dustin.
He got a little bit tight on that exit and couldn't get on the gas. Here comes Banker right now. He's got a really good run. If he doesn't make this happen now, side by side through that area, you can see them both struggling to keep off those curbs. Man, we got a lot of cars, and the leader's coming as well as he's watching all this.
This is what Frisch absolutely doesn't want to happen in front of him. And Banker is in a hurry to get this done because obviously he doesn't want to have to try and follow blue flags as he goes side by side through the crane of curves. He's going to give himself the inside into the old hairpin. Can he finally get this one done? He's got the pass. Herroder's going to watch from behind him. He could try a sneak attack up into McLean's, but I think there's nothing doing on that one.
Yeah, it was a really good move. Really tight, but both guys did a great job racing cleanly. As Keith Herner's going to pull over for the leader. The leader's now right behind Dustin Herder. But that was a really good move. Ooh, Dustin's struggling to get the power down off that corner.
And that'll certainly help Gernot Frisch get on through. Finds himself a nice little gap. Daniel Banker as well, given a handy bit of space between himself and Dustin due to that error. So just in time, the action settles down ahead of our leader, Gernot Frisch. Tommy Unhol will be the next one to try and deal with that, but he's now a whole 5 seconds behind.
Yeah, it should be interesting when Tommy gets to this pack because Alex is, you know, not too far away. He's only 1.7 seconds, 1.6 seconds back. So we'll see if this brings this battle into fruition, if Tommy gets held up in a couple of those corners.
And that could also help Keith Herner, who's really in our closest fight for the moment. Most of the other drivers are splitting apart a little bit with this lap traffic. Oh, but Herroder's gotten back on Banker. In fact, very close on the back of him. Gonna look to see if he can challenge him into the chicane. Thinks better of it. Banker much better through that right-left, and unfortunately Herroder very badly through the right-left. Here comes Keith Herner now closing in on the back of him.
This has also brought in John Betty Jr. and Robert Simpkins a little bit into this battle. So it's pretty much a 4-car battle for 11th position, with second place coming up to lap them as well.
Through the old hairpin. Laps really starting to tick down now. We're on 32 of 44. Dustin still feeling the pressure from Keith Herner as they climb up to the highest part of the circuit over Coppice. Keith looking like he's got a fantastic run though. On to Starkey straight. He ducks up underneath the gearbox, pulls off to the right side. He's fully alongside him. This might be the first pass we might actually see successful through there, and he gets it done. That was McClellan that we saw off track as he was executing that pass.
Yeah, very nicely done by Keith Herner. We've seen a lot of tries going into that last chicane, but no real full attempts. But so that was a really good job out braking Dustin for that turn.
And just in time for Tommy Unhola to get to the back of this group. He's waiting very patiently, though. John Beatty still up in front of him and probably keeping his eyes more ahead than behind.
Yeah, He's not going to be too patient because he's got Alex right up on him. He's about, you know, 1/2 a turn behind him. And so they're coming up on this group of 3 who are having a great battle on their own. So they're not just going to just pull over. Unohola's going to try to get on the inside of one of them, and he does it, but that brings Alex right up to the back of Unohola. So we got a great battle for P2 coming up.
Yeah, John, not doing any favors for the Finn, unfortunately. And Alex Millward probably appreciative of that little headache that Tommy experiencing. You can see about a car length behind as we ride on board with the UKNI driver. Up next for them is going to be Dustin Heroder that they need to lap, who's also still trying to challenge Keith Herner, who he got overtaken by. Here comes Tommy Unohola. Oh, he's trying to find a space. Now he sticks his car in. Dustin's going to follow him through, though. Excuse me, Alex will follow through.
Yeah, Tommy's really feeling the heat of Alex behind him, and he's trying to, so you can see Tommy trying to muscle his way through, but sometimes that helps the car behind as Alex just follow Tommy. Once that car moves out of the way, they'll see the next car coming.
Tommy finds himself a teeny bit of space. Almost off track now. He pulls over to the side. Keith probably thought he would hold to the right, but looks like Tommy wanted that spot. Now he's got to let another one through. There goes Alex Millward. Alex certainly not willing to sit around for anybody. As soon as he sees Tommy goes through, he goes through too.
Very nicely done from everybody, not just the guys getting lapped, but the 2 drivers, Unohola and Millward. Very clean. Sometimes that can get a little bit messy, so it was good to see.
And amazingly, in all of this, those 2 continuing to pull away from John Stevens in 4th. That is 21 seconds they've got between themselves and the car off the podium.
Yeah, we didn't get much love to John Stevens yet. He started 6th, running 4th, but he's done a very good job just kind of sitting there doing his thing. He hasn't really had any challenges in the front or the back. So it'll be good points for him today.
Up at the very front, you can see at the top of your screen, Prix continues to set fastest laps of the race. He's stretched it out to about 8 seconds over Tommy Unohola. Down to less than 10 laps to go in this race. Question is, how will this podium wind up? Alex Millward has been trying everything he can to catch up to Tommy Unohola, but we saw last race over in Italy. Tommy is used to this sort of pressure, and I think he's adapted well. Every time Alex gets himself a little bit close, Tommy responds and makes sure that he keeps Millward at arm's length.
I think Tommy has the faster car. Alex is taking advantage of that lap traffic. I'm watching Alex a little bit, and he's really pushing him. He's sideways coming off the corners, and I think that's pretty much Alex is giving everything he has.
Another car being lapped. We've actually got all the way up to 9th place, excuse me, lapped right now. Barry West currently looks like he's getting blue flags for Gernot Prix. And did something happen to Beatty? Got a replay. Oh, he was actually lapping traffic Brad Plank up through Coppice, and unfortunately ran out of pavement. That's going to let the likes of Robert Simpkins get back into P14. That'll make Robert happy. Remember, he started farther up than he was earlier on, and he's eventually got himself back into 14th, just 1 position down from where he gridded. Seven laps to go now.
It's crazy that Gernot, he's lapped all the way up. He just lapped Barry West, so he's lapped all the way up to 9th place in a huge field here. So, man, he's just on the move.
Yeah, he's taking advantage of these short lap times. And you got to give credit to Gernot. He's really been dealing with this lap traffic phenomenally. We haven't seen too many bad dramas with this Williams car. And up next on his list is going to be Fabian Don in 8th, and I'm pretty sure he's going to get him before this race is over, even though we've only got 7 sub-minute laps. What's even
Not much
wilder,
going up. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say what's even wilder is because it's so short, the lapped cars are also lapping cars. So it's a crazy mix out there. And I'd say this is one of the most impressive jobs we've seen out of drivers lapping. The very few horrible incidents, very few awkward moments.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of contact or anything, so everybody's been keeping their nose clean, and it's made the racing pretty nicely to watch. Although we haven't seen a lot of passing, we have seen some great driving.
This is Keith Herner down still with the likes of Hirota within a second of him. So Dustin going to have to get a little bit closer if he wants to try and make a pass, or else he'll have to wait for a mistake from Keith. Remember, Keith overtook Dustin not too long ago that we watched. This is Tommy Unhol on screen. Now 10 seconds behind Gurno Frisch. And Alex Millward dropping back to about 1.2 seconds. I think you called it right, Richie. It looks like Tommy does indeed have the faster car. Oh, and did Stevens lose fourth place? Steve Bycroft. Wow. Did he make a mistake, or did you? I think he did. This John Stevens up into McLean's had himself a monstrous error. And there you see the pass on screen. So Steve Bycroft, what a run for him.
Yeah, he has really dragged himself back from an early incident that he's brought himself all the way back up to fourth spot. Started fifth, but he was way down there, not way down there, but 5 or 6 positions down, and he's just muscled his way to the front. That last lap he put in was pretty quick at a 58.0 compared to John Stevens' 1 minute, 0.2.
And Gutierrez was off track coming out of the pits. Now, Gutierrez went through pit lane, and I'm not exactly sure why. That was bizarre. Well, he's back going once again, whatever his reasoning for that interesting move.
Yeah, I'm watching it right here, the replay on myself, and he just enters pit lane for some reason and then drives on through.
Oh, Dustin with another off. This one at McLean's. And this was a self-made error. You're going to see a little pirouette from the Diach driver. Keeps it off the wall. But unfortunately, he lost out to many cars. Simpkins, Beatty, and Plumley all took spots away.
Oh, and Gutierrez is back into the pits. I think he took tires or maybe fuel or something. I think he might have been short on fuel.
I'm not sure what's going with the Club Iberia driver, but the number 21, maybe he's just trying to stay out of the way, because I don't think he stopped in his stall this time. So as that happens, it's now 2 laps to go for Gurno Frisch. He's got nearly 10 seconds over Tommy Unhola. That gap behind them, Alex Millward, about 1 second back. He continues to close and then lose to Tommy Unhola, but unless something major happens, I don't think that Alex is going to be able to get up into P2. There you see the Tyrrell machine just managing today beautifully after slotting into second from an early mistake from the Preacher.
Yeah, all the gaps up front, at least through the top 8, are all kind of set a few seconds apart. I am watching, though, can Gurno lap all the way up to 8th spot. He's catching up to Fabian Don, and he might be able to get one more position before the race is over.
Yeah, Fabian is himself lapping some traffic in the form of Adnan. White flag is out for Gurno Frisch. The number 1 car started Oh, and dude, Hole, after all that good job, has lost second place, and this was lap traffic. Kendrick Taylor trying to give the spot away, but braked a little too late.
Oh man, he didn't brake at all and just sideswiped Unhola. Tommy's not going to be happy with that at all.
Yeah, that after what of a race he ran. Our leader, though, Gernot Prix, not having any such troubles on this final lap. He's coming around to the last chicane. Let's see if he can keep it clean. I have a feeling that this will be easy doing for Gernot Prix. Nicely done, smoothly off the corner. Weaving in celebration, Gernot Prix, another victory here at Donington Park. Alex Millward with a surprise second place. And Tommy Unhola, unfortunately, after running nearly the entire race in P2, has to settle for third.
Yeah,
a little bit of frustration there.
Yeah, I mean, he's fortunate that he was able to keep going at all because he really got hammered into the side pod. Steve Bycroft did a great job coming back to finish fourth. Nicely done. Saw some great passes by him. And John Stevens is going to come home fifth.
Still a good run from John Stevens, getting a top 5 today. Suarez in P6, streaming in behind him. We have so few cars on the lead lap. You got Peter Koneski and then Fabian Don, and that is it for our leaders who were able to finish on the lead lap. We got an onboard with Taylor for that incident that swapped around P2. Let's see if we can figure out from watching on board.
It's almost like he stepped on the clutch and not the brake because he didn't brake at all until he hit something.
Unfortunate for the Renault and absolutely unfortunate for the Tyrrell. Definitely feel for Tommy Unhola. That was certainly not his fault, but you got to give credit to Alex Millward. He kept himself in position all race long to take advantage of that situation and slot easily into P2. We're going to take a break, though. We'll come back, of course, after we see the after we've got all the upcoming races here on GSRC, and then we'll go over the official results as well as driver interviews. So stick around. Welcome back to Donington Park. We just watched round 4 in the Lotus 79 Classic Teams Championship. Gernot Frisch romped away to victory. He has proven once again why he is a multi-time champion. Alex Millward, though, took second place from 4th on the grid. He was 3rd for most of the race. Well, the reason why was Tommy Unahola, who finished 3rd. Unfortunately, with seeing the white flag on the front stretch, found himself in little contact with a lapped car. That gave away second place after Tommy ran what we consider something of an immaculate race up there, and just out of his control lost it in the final lap. Steve Bycroft finished in 4th. He had a slowdown penalty that caused him to lose multiple positions and ran incredibly up and up and up until he finished 4th. John Stevens wound up P5. Then you've got Pablo Suarez getting 6th place behind them. Peter Koneski getting P7. Fabian Dan was the last car on the lead lap in 8th place. Such as the short lap around here and the incredible pace of Gernot Frisch. Barry West with a very, very nice run to 9th. And then rounding out the top 10, Richie, is Keith Herner.
Yeah, coming home 11th will be Robert Simpkins. Right behind him, John Beatty Jr. Robert Plumley, 13th. Justin Harder, we watched him a lot today, comes home 14th. Glenn Corrigan, 15th. Daniel Banker, 16th. Steve Sarlis, 17th. Adnan Dezarevic, 18th. Brad Klink, 19th. And Francisco Javier Gutierrez in 20th.
21st went to Kendrick Taylor, with Sergio Morales finishing 22nd. Duncan McClellan gutted it out, the last car to finish, finishing 23rd. Then you've got your DNFs for today: Todd Herner, Johan Orlampi, Jean-Francois Boscus, and Harley Lloyd. Sadly, did not see the checkered flag today. I believe we've got our winner ready to talk to us, Gernot Frisch. And Gernot, it looked like another simple run for you. You put it on pole. You didn't have to pass anyone. And then from there, it looked like simply managing traffic today.
Yeah, simple doesn't really do it justice. Yeah, of course I had to push, but yeah, I was able to control the race. Actually, how the race developed was pretty much in my favor because Tommy got by Nuno. You had the start, so they were quite busy fighting each other. So I had the chance to pull away a little bit, and then I just tried to manage the gap and keep it safe.
It seemed like there was a number of spots where the blind corners could make communication tricky with the lap traffic. Do you have any method that you usually use to try and make sure that both you and the lapped car kind of know who's going which way?
Not really. I try to read the other car, so that's what I call body language of the car, because usually it's pretty much clear what everyone tries to do, and once I know what the other guy is doing, and he gives me a signal that I can pass him, I usually give a quick silent thank you with the voice chat, and I think that makes it clear.
This season seems to have a string of tracks where it's rather difficult to try and overtake. We had Imola, now we had Donington. Next one going to be Mosport. Do you like tracks like that, the ones that are mostly fast corners, not a lot of hard braking, or do you like ones where you've really got passing opportunities?
It's hard to say. Actually, I'm best at technical tracks with many corners and high downforce. On the other hand, of course, I like wide tracks with some straights for passing as well. But it's not necessarily what I'm best at.
All right. Well, congratulations on another victory from lights to flag. It seems like you've got this championship under control.
I'm not so sure. I'll be missing a couple of weeks, so we'll be definitely close. We'll see. Interesting season again.
That was Gernot Frisch who took our victory today. Up next, I believe Richie's going to talk to Barry West. First car lap down in the end.
Yeah, Barry, nicely done. Kind of a quiet race there. A few battles, but not too heavy. Started 12th, finished 9th. Give us a little rundown.
Yeah, it was an interesting race. No contact. I mean, the last couple of races have been terrible contacts, but Kendrick kept me honest all the way through. Nice move on him into Redgate through the inside when we came across somebody. Just watched that back on replay, and yeah, we were level going down the Kramers. That was quite interesting. But yeah, we gave each other enough room and lived another day. So yeah, but yeah, relatively speaking, it was quite a quiet race after the beginning had settled down. Yeah, I'm pleased to finish a couple of places higher, but yeah, qualifying was quite poor. Been interesting to have been up with Peter. There's been a few races a weekend, but yeah, it's a good race.
This track is a lot of fun to drive. I've done some laps there, and it just seemed like it was really difficult to pass. Was it just tough to get some clean air on that front wing to get a good run?
Yeah, it's I don't know whether the setup I had was right. I did notice that when the sun came up and the track warmed up a bit, I was sliding too much. When the clouds came over, the setup was good, and I was putting some quicker laps in. It just felt better. The car did. So yeah, I think the setup is quite dependent, and I think you've got quite differences in setups. If you have people with less wing, they're all over you in the corners, and it's so easy to just tap the back of a car. So yeah, you want it for the straight for overtaking, but then you're at risk of getting damaged in the corners. So yeah, it's tricky mid pack when you're racing around people you don't know all the time. The guy in front of me, I hadn't seen him before. He was really good. What's the guy's name?
Fabian Don.
Fabian Dan, yeah, he was. We were fairly even lap times, I think, and that was. So I couldn't catch him, and then of course traffic played a part. No, he was a bit quicker than me. But yeah, it was. It looked a little interesting battle going ahead, but I just couldn't catch up to it, and they weren't fighting enough to let me catch them up. So yeah, it's just the way one of those races go. Good points. So that's the best one. There's got a bit of pressure on this weekend because I haven't got many points up to now after 2 contacts. So yeah, I'm pleased with that.
Yeah, I know it was a really good clean finish there.
Yeah, and Alex did really well, teammate. So yeah, should be looking good for the team championship. I don't know where we are, but yeah, got something to defend from last year.
Well, absolutely there, Barry. Well, thanks for joining us here, and nicely done. And we will see you at next one at Mossport.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Rishi.
That was Barry West, 9th place finisher. We've got 3rd place ready to talk to us, Tommy Unhola. And just a quick reminder on language, we are a family show, Tommy, but I think we're just as gutted for you as you probably are for yourself about losing out on that 2nd place.
Oh, yeah, I actually didn't come right away here as I had to calm down a bit as it was a really good race and I watched a replay a few times and I have no idea what to say and it was not greatest ending for kind of good race.
Obviously, taking a chance to relax after this. I don't blame you if you need a little bit of a drink from that. Alex really was applying the pressure. It seems like your strength lately has been just getting up into a position and never relinquishing it, because we saw almost the exact same story last week at Imola.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of good at defending and better than attacking, I guess. And usually when I get the position, I can keep it. And it was not so bad against Alex. Now Juha was a bit more threatening, I guess. But I don't know what happened to him. He dropped back a few laps after, but I think I had Alex. He was really fast at some points, but I guess it would have been enough. And yeah, I kind of forgot question again.
That's fine. Next race, we're heading over to Canada for Mossport. You, for a while, actually held the pole in the qualifying. Do you think you can actually outrun Gernot Frisch on single lap time at some point and maybe get yourself ahead of him, see if you could fend him off for an entire race?
Well, yes, of course, that's my goal, or whoever happens to be fastest. And it's I'm so new to this series. It was my first race at Donington, and it will be my first race at Mossport. So it's kind of hard. I guess these guys have done it done it a few times before, so I'm kind of happy to be like podium, and that's pretty good. But of course, plan is to beat Cernot and all the other fast guys a bit later, it seems. But pace was really good now for a couple races.
Well, congratulations at least on being on the podium, and we hope to see you next week.
Yeah, podium is nice, so thank you. And yeah, I'll try to make it next week. I have something, but I need to look at my calendar, so hopefully see you next week.
All right, we'll see if Tommy is able to show up in Canada. Up next, I believe Richie's going to be talking to newcomer Brad Clank.
Yeah, Brad Clank, you got a copy? And Brad, you got a copy there?
Looks like Brad needs to get his mic set up real quick. His first time in the car and I guess first time in the booth. We'll give Brad just a second to try and get the microphone sorted out. Brad, you got a copy? Well, looks like Brad not able to get that sorted out, so we'll talk to him next week, hopefully. We're going to close out today instead, and a big thank you to the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. Also, a thank you goes out to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts. You can see them listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Richie, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Head on over to our YouTube page if you got a chance and make sure and hit that big red subscribe button so that you don't miss a moment here on the GSRC. If you do that, you won't miss next week when we go to MoSport. That'll be April 14th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.